Hi everyone and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel and the Take 5 Art Journal collaboration video for December. Today we're going to be working with prompts chosen by Brie over at Documented Journey. Brie is an amazing artist. She's incredible with watercolours and sketching, so it's definitely going to be a very fun video. As always, getting started on my page, I'm applying a rather generous coat of white gesso. I'm using a thick brush as I find it's the best way to avoid it getting a little bit streaky, especially as the pages in my Dilutions journal are not white. I definitely can notice otherwise. I'm then setting that with my heat tool before I'm going to start working on the first prompt for this month, which is watercolour. I'm just using the Artist Loft Basic watercolour set and I absolutely love these. They're so much fun to use for the basic price. If you're just getting started, why not grab a affordable set and just have fun? Getting started with my watercolour, I'm taking the lightest blue from the set and the same wide brush that I used for the gesso, and I'm applying a nice big thin layer to the top of the page. I'm then doing the same thing with the lightest green and adding a nice big strip to the bottom of the page as well. I already knew that I wanted to add lots of layers to the page, and so I'm starting out with a nice big wash of colour that I can then build upon. The next prompt I'm going to be working with is green. So as you can see, I'm taking the darkest green watercolour from this set and I'm adding this on quite thick, and then I'm using different effects with my paintbrush to make it look a little bit more textured. I'm then going to go in with some yellow and add that to the divide between the blue and the green. I wanted this to almost look like a countryside field where there's the yellow fields and the different wheats and hays and everything, so I'm just adding a couple of different bits of colour with the yellows and the greens to that, and of course I'm then going to try it with my heat tool as well. I then am going to be moving on to the next prompt, which is some kind of text. I had this beautiful magazine given to me by my sister's mother-in-law who lives in Zimbabwe, and I absolutely love some of the photography in here, and I thought it was a little bit different to what I would normally use. So I'm just tearing that into strips and different size pieces, and then I'm going to be using my gel matte medium as both a glue and sealant on top to keep it in place. I haven't quite got the hang of gel matte medium yet. I know that lots of ladies use it. I've seen it in so many videos being recommended and it is great, but I find I still get things peeling up and not sticking properly, and I still get a lot of sheen even though it's in the matte finish. So is that just me? Am I using it wrong? Probably so. Please let me know if you also have the same issue, or if you're fantastic at using matte medium. What am I doing wrong? I'm then going to use one of my lesser used products that everybody used to be crazy about and you hardly see anymore. These are my Faber-Castell gelatos, and I wanted to add a little bit of a different texture, maybe a different type of layer. These are more waxy compared to the chalky finish of my watercolours, so I'm just putting those onto my page and then using the tiniest bit of water on that same brush. I didn't really care too much about changing brushes. I'm then going to go in and add a couple more layers of these. First of all, I'm going back in with that same green. I then decided I wanted to dirty up and deepen the corners a little bit. So I'm using on the bottom edge and the corners my red gelato mixed in as well with that green one. Still using that same brush and a little tiny bit of water, and then I'm just going to first of all mix those together with the brush, and once I've done that I'm also going to just run my finger across the edge to smudge it in a little bit. I did find that the gelato was moving a little bit because of the watercolour underneath, so I'm going to use my heat tool to dry that again and make sure that that's set before I move on to my next layer. I'm then going to turn my page round so that I can start working on the top part of my page. So I'm using that same dark green gelato and I'm outlining the top section of my page. I'm trying not to be very heavy-handed with this as I want to add the green and mix it in, but I don't want it to be overpoweringly a green blob on the whole of my page. So I'm using a very light hand and a little bit of water at first, and then I'm just going to smudge that in with my fingers once I've finished with the brush. I'm then going to go over that a little bit with a dark blue gelato. I'm then going to add just some stripes across that top part of the page and blend that in as well. I wanted the top part of my sky to be a little bit darker than it was with the watercolours, so I'm just going to wash that across both of my pages. I'm also going to just add an extra layer of this light blue colour, and I also wanted to add in another colour to the sky. I think it's a really pretty effect when there's multiple colours in the sky, and this one is I'm not sure if it's a mustard yellow or if it's a light orange, but I thought it would go pretty well and I really like it actually. I did use a lot more water to blend this one and I was quite vigorously blending as well. Next I'm going to have a look through my stencils and I find this really pretty leaf stencil. So I'm going to add another layer and I'm going to use some of my distressed oxides and a distressed ink. I believe I'm going to be using the Iced Spruce, Peacock Feathers and Black Soot, distressed oxides and ink. I'm just smishing those onto the palette part of my media mat, and I'm taking one of my old distressed blending tools and I'm just going to mix those three colours together and then buff those through the stencil onto the top of my page. I wanted to create a frame effect on the top of this page, so I'm just placing a few of them across the top. These did come out bigger than I expected, even though I was looking at the stencil when I had finished. I was like, oh, they're a little bit bigger than I planned, but I do really like them and I love the fact that because we're blending these colours together, they're a different colour each time, which I found really great. I'm then just going to take a baby wipe really quickly and wipe off both my mat and the stencil. I am getting a lot better at cleaning off stamps and stencils, which is great. Of course, I'm then going to use my heat tool to heat set that and make sure that that is dry before we can move on. The next thing I'm going to be working on is the next prompt, which is Botanical. I wasn't really sure if this counts as Botanical, so I may have been cheating a little bit. But I decided that I was going to use up some of my Maggie Holmes ephemera. I always find a use for the flowers, but not so often for the leaves. So I decided I was going to just have a look through all of the different leaves in the packs and add those in between those stencils on the top of my page. Again, I'm going to be using gel matte medium to stick these down in place and then put it on top. So as you can see, I placed them where I wanted them roughly, and then I've trimmed the leaves down as I'm adding them onto the page. I'm then going to add an extra layer of matte gel medium over the top just to really secure those leaves in place and hope that they don't move too much when my journal's being open and closed. I've really enjoyed the prompts this month and wanted to say thank you to Brie. At first I was really overwhelmed and had no idea what I would create when I saw the prompts, but I've had so much fun and it was so nice just to sit down and make something. So thank you, Brie. I've loved your prompts this month. I'll be sure to leave the link to Brie's channel as well as her Etsy store in the description box below, and I'm so excited to see what the other Take 5 ladies have created too. Now we're going to be working on the last prompt for this video, which is Ballpoint Pen. I am just using one of my ordinary writing pens and I didn't plan a quote for this, so I decided just to add one on the spot. So this one says, "Be free, be wild and let your heart explore." And I'm just going to give that a rough layer with this and then I'll go over it a couple of times as well just to thicken it up a little bit and make it stand out a little bit more. It was quite hard for my pen to show up with all of the paint and things on the background. Once I finished going over the pen with this ballpoint, I will as well use my black jelly roll pen just to go over that and make that stand out even more. I found my ballpoint pen left a pinky reddy residue in the light, which I didn't really want, so that's why I'm just using my jelly roll to go over that. Then for the finishing touches to my page, I'm going to firstly take the Dilutions ink spray in Cut Grass and I'm going to add a generous amount of splatters around the outside of my pages. I'm then also going to take the Heidi Swap Colour Shine in Patina, and I'm also going to add a generous coat of splatters with that as well, focusing on the outside of the pages, but as you'll see in the close-up, there definitely is some splatters on the middle of the pages as well. And I'm also going to take the Heidi Swap Colour Shine in Tropic Teal and add some extra splatters with that. And that's going to be my page for this month finish. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please don't forget to check out the other amazing ladies taking part in the Take 5. All of their information and how to take part yourself is in the description box below. If you're new to my channel and would like to see more from me, then please do consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I will see you very soon with a new video.